What happens when a prince used to controlling the narrative sits across from a host who refuses to be intimidated? What happens when polished media training collides with a lawyer-trained cross-examiner in front of a live audience? This isn't a royal puff piece. This is the night Prince Harry walked onto the Megyn Kelly show expecting another platform and walked out furious. The studio of the Megyn Kelly show felt colder than it looked on TV. Bright, even light washed over the set, reflecting off the sleek desk, the blue panels, the giant video wall glowing with the show's logo. Behind the cameras, a small live audience shifted in their seats, whispering as staff made last-minute adjustments. At the center sat Megyn Kelly. She was calm, composed, perfectly still, except for the pen tapping lightly against a stack of notes. Years in courtrooms and newsrooms had carved a particular steadiness into her posture. Back straight, shoulders relaxed, gaze sharp but unreadable. She looked like someone who had seen this conflict from 3 angles already and was simply waiting for the bell. Across from her, Prince Harry slumped into his chair. He wore a navy jacket over a white shirt, collar slightly open, jaw tight, expression stuck between boredom and irritation. As if this was just another tedious obligation in a life filled with people who didn't understand him. He adjusted his lapel microphone like it was an inconvenience rather than a courtesy. The floor manager counted down with raised fingers. 3, 2, 1. The red light on the main camera blinked on. "Good evening, and welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show," Megyn said, voice smooth and professional. "Tonight we're joined by a man who needs no introduction. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex." The words lingered for a moment. Applause followed, polite, cautious, as if the audience wasn't sure which version of him they were about to get. Megyn turned to him with a courteous smile. "Harry, thank you for being here." He gave a small nod, not bothering to mirror her warmth. "Well," he said, voice edged with dry sarcasm, "apparently I'm the world's favorite topic. Might as well show up once in a while to correct the record." A few people in the audience chuckled awkwardly. Megyn's expression didn't change. "We're glad you chose to correct it here," she replied evenly. "You've been very visible these last few years, books, documentaries, interviews. A lot of people feel they know your story. Tonight, I'd like to go deeper than headlines." Harry smirked and leaned back. "You mean deeper than the narrative you and your colleagues like to push?" Megyn let it pass with a small nod. "Let's start with something simple. How are you? Not as a royal, not as a public figure, just Harry, the person. How is life right now?" He exhaled as if the question were unbearably dull. "Life is tolerable," he said. "Quieter than the circus I left. Noisier than I'd like, because people like you keep dragging me into conversations I didn't ask for." Megyn's brow lifted slightly. "Well, to be fair, you did agree to this interview." "No," Harry corrected sharply. "My team agreed to give you a chance. There's a difference." The tone landed hard. The audience shifted. The tension spread. Megyn's voice stayed controlled. "Understood," she said. "Then let's earn that chance. You've spoken often about breaking away from what you called a toxic institution. Looking back, do you feel freer, happier, or is there a part of you that still misses the structure of royal life?" Harry let out a humorless laugh. "Do I miss being told what to wear, what to say, where to stand, how to grieve?" he asked. "No, I don't miss the costume party. I don't miss being a prop in someone else's photo op. Not at all." Megyn pressed gently. "Nothing you miss, the sense of service, the connection to your country." He looked at her like the question was foolish. "Service isn't exclusive to palaces and parades," he said. "I can serve without bowing to an old building and pretending it has feelings. America understands that. That's why I'm here." The contempt was unmistakable. A few audience members frowned. A woman in the second row slowly shook her head. Megyn's pen tapped once. "Let's talk about your mother," she said softly. The air tightened. "Princess Diana remains a powerful figure around the world. You've spoken about her publicly many times. When you look at your life now, do you feel you're living in a way she'd recognize or approve of?" Harry's jaw tightened. "My mother would understand why I left," he said. "She knew what it was like to be trapped, to be devoured by the press. I think she'd be disgusted by how people like you still use her name for ratings." The line hit hard. Megyn's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes sharpened. "I'm not using her name for ratings," she said calmly. "I'm asking because you've made her central to your story. She's in your book, your interviews, your documentaries, so I think it's fair to ask what she'd think about the man you've become." Harry's lips curled. "What she'd think," he repeated. "Right. Another journalist pretending to speak for her. You didn't know her. You didn't know what she suffered, so forgive me if I don't find your concern particularly authentic." The word dripped with sarcasm. The audience murmured uncomfortably. Megyn folded her hands at the top of her notes, giving herself a beat. "I don't claim to have known her," she said, "but millions of people felt connected to her, and many of them are watching tonight. They've watched you too. Some sympathize deeply. Others feel you've turned pain into a brand. Do you understand that criticism?" Harry's eyes flashed. "I understand people are more comfortable when trauma stays tidy and silent." He shot back. "They want my mother to be a poster on their wall, not a human being. They want me grateful and quiet. I'm not interested in making them comfortable. Megyn nodded once. Is that why you keep speaking out? Because you're not interested in their comfort or because you're not done being heard? He leaned forward, irritation sharpening his features. I speak out because no one listened when it mattered, he said. Now they have to. That's the difference. I finally have the power to decide when and how my story is told. And the money, Megyn added lightly, almost as an afterthought. Book deals, streaming projects, paid interviews. A lot of people see your story as extremely profitable. A small smirk pulled at Harry's mouth. Oh, there it is, he said. The jealousy, the how dare you profit from your life angle. Tell me, Megyn, do you donate your salary to charity, or is it only royals who aren't allowed to be paid for their trauma? The audience reacted with soft gasps and uneasy laughter. Megyn inhaled slowly through her nose, pausing before answering. This isn't about jealousy, she replied. It's about consistency. You've said you wanted privacy, yet you've repeatedly put your life on global display on your terms. That's not illegal or immoral, but it does raise questions. And you think you're the one to ask them, Harry muttered. Of course you do. Her eyes narrowed the slightest bit, though her voice stayed steady. It's my job to ask, she said simply. And tonight, you agreed to answer. He tilted his head, studying her like an opponent across a chess table. We'll see, he said. The tension between them had settled into something nearly solid now. Like two magnets held close, resistance humming between them. The crew felt it, the audience felt it. In the control room, a producer mouthed, "Oh, wow." Megyn flipped to the next page of her notes. All right, she continued. Let's talk about your brother. You and Prince William were once seen as inseparable. You described him as your beloved brother and also as someone you've physically fought with. Where does that relationship stand today? Harry's expression tightened into something colder. Where it stands, he said slowly, is none of your business. Harry, you wrote about those conflicts in your book. Megyn reminded him. You made them public. Once you did that, they became fair questions. Yes, and you bought the book. He snapped. Congratulations. You're welcome. But I don't owe you live updates on my family text messages just because you got a book club discount. The audience murmured, the tone shifting. The arrogance had crossed a line. Megyn's patience remained intact, but only just. I'm not asking for text messages, she said. I'm asking if there's any hope of reconciliation. Many people from fractured families are watching. They're wondering if two brothers, after everything, can find their way back to each other. He shrugged, dismissive. People love a reunion story. Makes them feel better about their own messes. But my life isn't a Hallmark movie. If William wants to sit under a portrait and pretend everything is fine, that's his choice. I'm done pretending. Megyn held his gaze a beat longer. Does any part of you miss him? She asked quietly. No, Harry answered too quickly. Next question. For a fraction of a second, a crack showed so fast, most viewers would miss it. But not Megyn. She saw the tight swallow, the flicker in his eyes before the steel returned. She noted it silently. Very well, she said. Then let's shift to your life here in America. Your home, your work, your family with Megyn and your children. As she spoke, the camera pushed in, capturing the distance between them on the glossy sethost grounding the interview, and the guest inching it toward a cliff. The audience didn't know it yet. But this was only the beginning. The first commercial break hit like a pressure valve releasing. The red light blinked off, and the studio shifted instantly. Crew members moved in with powder and water bottles. A makeup artist hovered near Harry, then pulled back when she saw his expression. He waved her off with a sharp flick of his hand. Megyn glanced from her notes to him. You doing all right? She asked quietly. Stripped of performance. Harry gave her a sideways look. Are you? She smiled faintly. I've done this a few times. That's part of the problem, he muttered. Before she could respond, the floor manager lifted his hand. We're back in 10-9. 8. Megyn straightened, her hosting persona sliding back into place. Harry rolled his shoulders once, bracing himself. 3-2. 1. The red light blinked on. We're back with Prince Harry, Megyn said, voice smooth and professional. We've been talking about his life after leaving the royal family, his relationships, and his new chapter in America. Harry, I want to turn to something that has been controversial, to put it mildly. He exhaled sharply. Only one thing. The audience laughed lightly, but Megyn continued. You've spoken often about wanting privacy, but you and Megyn have also done multi-part documentaries, a best-selling memoir, podcast series, numerous interviews. Many people feel you've built a public identity around grievances. Do you see why that perception exists? Harry leaned back, crossing his arms, a small, almost lazy smile tugging at his lips. I see why people who only read headlines might think that, he said. I don't see why a so-called serious journalist would frame it that way. Megyn's eyes narrowed just slightly. How would you frame it? As survival, Harry replied, as reclaiming a life that was never really mine. You call it grievance because you're uncomfortable with people telling the truth, especially about institutions you spent years glorifying. I spent years questioning institutions. Megyn countered evenly. The palace included. I'm not uncomfortable with truth, Harry. I'm uncomfortable with half-truths being sold as the whole picture. He snorted under his breath. Right, because you, of all people, are the authority on what counts as the whole picture. She let the jab roll off her. Let's talk about Megyn, she said, and the room seemed to tighten again. She remains one of the most polarizing figures in modern public life. Some see her as a victim of racism and cruelty. Others see her as manipulative and self-centered. How do you see her, beyond the public narrative? Harry's stare hardened. I see her as the only person who ever bothered to understand me, he said. The only one who didn't treat me like a mascot or an obligation. She saw me as a human being, not a title. That's apparently unforgivable to some people. Megyn nodded slowly. Do you think any of the criticism directed at her is fair? His answer came instantly. No, none. She pressed. He gave a short, contemptuous laugh. That's the beauty of it, Megyn. People who've never met her, who've never even been in the same room with her, feel entitled to dissect every word, every expression. They call it fair criticism. I call it obsession. Some of that criticism, Megyn said carefully, has come from people who have been in the room, staffers, journalists, people who worked with her, anonymous sources with access to grind. Harry cut in sharply. People who don't have the courage to put their names behind what they say. That's not testimony, that's gossip. Megyn's tone cooled. Some of them have put their names to their accounts. Are they all lying? Harry's jaw tightened. Yes, he said flatly, or twisting things to fit a narrative that sells. You know how that works better than anyone. There it was again, the push, the edge, the accusation aimed directly at her. The audience murmured uneasily. Megyn laced her fingers together, grounding herself. You've accused the British press of racism and targeted cruelty, she said. You've said they drove Megyn to suicidal thoughts. Those are very serious claims. Do you regret putting them out there with so little specificity? No names, no evidence, just broad accusations. His eyes narrowed. You want names? He asked, voice dropping. You want me to hand you a list of people you can throw to the wolves so you can enjoy another media execution? That's not accountability, Megyn. That's blood sport. Accountability involves facts, she replied. Specifics. You've painted an entire institution and press corps as racist and abusive without providing details that can be examined, verified, or challenged. That's not blood sport. That's convenient. Harry's smile vanished. You don't get to tell me what my truth should look like to make you comfortable, he said, and you don't get to demand I put more targets on people's backs, just so you can feel better about interrogating my story. I'm not trying to feel better, Megyn said. I'm trying to understand where responsibility ends and revenge begins. The line hit hard. The audience let out a low, collective ooh. Harry leaned forward, voice sharpening. You love that word, don't you? Revenge makes for a great segment. The Angry Prince Revenge Tour. Nice thumbnail, good ratings. It's lazy. It's small-minded. You reduce complex trauma to a headline and then act shocked when I push back. Megyn's patience flickered for the first time. Trauma is real, she said, keeping her tone steady. So is pattern. And the pattern is this. Every time someone asks you a hard question about your role in all of this, you accuse them of bad faith. Is that how you navigate every conversation now? He tilted his head, studying her as if she were something under a microscope. Is that how you navigate yours? He shot back, deflecting your industry's complicity by pretending you're the brave one, asking the tough questions. She held his gaze. I'm not pretending, she said quietly. I am asking them. Right now. Answer 1. Silence stretched. Harry shifted, a small crack of discomfort flickering for half a second before irritation slammed over it. You really think you're going to get a neat little soundbite from me? He asked. This isn't a courtroom. I'm not on trial. Megyn offered a small, controlled smile. Harry, with respect, she said, you've put a lot of other people on trial in your book, in interviews, in documentaries. You've cross-examined your own family in the court of public opinion. Tonight, people expect you to face at least a fraction of that scrutiny yourself. His expression darkened. I didn't put them on trial, he said. I told the truth. If they don't like how they look in it, that's not my problem. But it is your responsibility, she said gently, because you chose to tell that truth publicly repeatedly for profit. That's not neutral. That's not consequence-free. The word profit hit a nerve. Harry sat up straighter, anger flashing. You keep coming back to that, he snapped. My earnings, my deals, my contracts. Does it bother you that I finally have money that isn't controlled by the palace? Or does it bother you that I didn't need your industry's permission to get it? Megyn felt irritation rise in her chest. It doesn't bother me that you make money, she said, firmer now. It bothers me that you pretend the money has nothing to do with the story you keep reselling. There's a big difference between telling your truth once and building an empire out of it. Silence again. Harry's eyes burned with defensive heat. You're offended that I won't play the poor prince for your sympathy arc, he said. You want contrition, humility, tears on cue. You want me broken so you can feel noble asking me why. I'm not going to give you that. Megyn's jaw flexed slightly. I don't want you broken, she said. I want you honest. And so far, what I'm seeing is a lot of blame and very little self-reflection. The audience murmured, stronger this time, some nodding, some shifting uneasily. The camera cut briefly to a wide shot, Harry leaning forward, jaw set, body coiled, Megyn sitting upright, composed, eyes colder, sharper. "Let's talk about your children," she said, turning a page of her notes. "You've said repeatedly that you left to protect them from the press, from the institution, from the life you grew up in. At the same time, you've put your life and grievances front and center in global media. Aren't you worried they'll one day read all of this and see not just a victim of the system, but a man who never stopped reliving it?" Harry swallowed once, the only sign the question landed deeper. "My children will one day understand why I did what I did," he said slowly. "They'll know I fought for them, not for some museum of a monarchy. They'll know I didn't let people like you define our story." Megyn studied him carefully. "Or," she said quietly, razor sharp, "they might wonder why their father spent years talking about escaping, but never stopped talking about what he ran from." The line cut through the room like a wire. Harry stared, disbelief shifting to anger. "You really are something," he said. "You sit there, acting civilized, while twisting every word into an accusation. Tell me, Megyn, is there a version of this conversation where you don't assume the worst of me?" She didn't blink. "Yes," she said. "It starts when you stop assuming you're the only injured party in every room you walk into." For the first time, a faint ripple of applause moved through the audience, not loud, but enough to make Harry turn his head slightly, feeding the growing crack in his composure. His smile returned, colder, meaner. "So that's what this is," he said softly. "You want to be the one who finally puts me in my place. The woman who stood up to the spoiled prince. That'll play well on social media, won't it?" Megyn's lips parted slightly, then closed again. She leaned back, folding her arms loosely, anchored but not defensive. "This isn't about putting you in your place," she said. "It's about reminding you that in this chair, on this show, you're not above being questioned, title or no title." Harry's fingers tapped once against the armrest. "Maybe you forgot," he said. "I didn't come here to be cross-examined like some criminal. I came here because my team thought you might handle this with an ounce of respect." "And I have," Megyn replied, controlled but colder now. "I've called you by your name and title. I've let you finish your answers. I have not shouted, insulted, or mocked you. If that's your bar for disrespect, maybe the real issue isn't the questions, it's the mirror they hold up." That landed hard. The air felt charged, crackling with argument, still pretending to be an interview. The floor manager made a small circling gesture. A break was coming. Megyn glanced at the clock, then back at Harry. "After the break," she said, almost daring him, "we're going to talk about your public image here in America, how it's changed, and whether the world still sees you as the wounded prince or something very different. Stay with us." The camera lingered on Harry's burning stare before the red light blinked off. For a moment, the only sound in the studio was the quick exhale of a producer, realizing they were in the middle of a controlled explosion, going less controlled by the minute. The break ended. Tension thick enough to feel weighed down by the studio lights. Crew whispered in corners. A producer mouthed, "This is going off the rails." The red light blinked back on, snapping silence into place. Megyn straightened, exhaled once, and offered her signature on-air smile, thin, professional, controlled. Harry sat stiffly, chin lifted, as if the chair beneath him was beneath him. "Welcome back," Megyn said smoothly. "We're here with Prince Harry, continuing a conversation that's taken some unexpected turns." Harry scoffed audibly. Megyn ignored it. "I want to talk now," she continued, "about the public reaction to your interviews, documentaries, and memoir. Many feel you've crossed the line from whistleblower to constant critic. Some even say you've built a brand on resentment. How do you respond to that?" Harry gave her a condescending gaze, almost palace-painting worthy. "How adorable," he said. "The American media pretending to care about public sentiment. You all thrive on resentment. Outrage keeps your lights on." Megyn leaned back slightly, letting him speak. "You're deflecting, Harry," she said calmly. "I asked how you respond." He shrugged. "I don't. People will think whatever they want. They always have." "Do you ever worry?" Megyn asked gently. "That maybe, just maybe, the issue isn't everyone else?" Harry's jaw twitched. "Why?" "Because I'm not groveling the way you want. Because I'm not falling to pieces on cue." "No," Megyn said deliberately. "Because every narrative you tell has the same villain and the same hero." Harry leaned forward, voice sharp. "I am the hero of my story. Isn't that what all your self-help books tell people? Find your voice, live your truth, break toxic cycles. But when I do it, suddenly it's inconvenient." "You're not being criticized for finding your voice," Megyn replied. "You're being criticized because your voice only goes outward, never inward." Harry gave a tight, mocking smile. "Oh, is this the part where you psychoanalyze me?" he said. "On daytime TV, this isn't psychoanalysis," she said. "It's journalism." "No," Harry snapped. "It's spectacle. And you're loving every second because you finally got your handsome villain." Megyn blinked slowly, absorbing the hit without flinching. "All right," she said evenly. "Then let me ask a question many people have wondered about." Harry rolled his eyes dramatically. She ignored it. "Your book," she said. "You described intimate fights with your brother. Private conversations with your father. Tension with Catherine. Did you ever stop and ask yourself, is this mine to tell? Harry stiffened. It became mine, he said sharply. The moment they fed lies about me to the press, they forfeited their privacy when they used it as a weapon. Megyn nodded. And this is your counterattack. Harry smirked. I don't attack BO, correct. But you wrote about things no one can verify. She pressed. Disagreements behind closed doors. Moments no one else witnessed. How do we know your truth isn't also a weapon? Harry scoffed. Because unlike them, I have no reason to lie. Megyn raised a brow. That's quite a claim. It's a fact. Harry insisted. It's an opinion. She corrected gently. His jaw clenched. You know what? He snapped. You're just like them. Pretend impartial, but your questions aren't neutral. This entire interview was designed to trap me. No, Harry, Megyn said low. Calm, steady. It was designed to understand you, but you keep turning every question into an attack. Harry jabbed the air with frustration. You want me to sit here and take a beating so you can look like the fearless host. But this isn't bravery. It's opportunism. You're not interested in truth, you're interested in a viral moment. Megyn's eyes chilled. And what are you interested in? She asked. Because from where I'm sitting, he said, it looks like you came here to fight. Harry laughed coldly. Maybe fighting is all I've ever had, he said, or maybe, she said softly, it's all you choose. That struck him like a stone. His nostrils flared, fists tightened. You don't know me, he muttered. Then let me, Megyn said, voice firming. Let me ask the questions you keep dodging. Do you regret any of it? Burning bridges, exposing family arguments, portraying yourself as the eternal victim. Do you regret any part of that? Harry glared. No, Megyn inhaled. Then set her cards down slowly, deliberately. Then we can't continue. Harry blinked. What? She sat up straighter. I can't interview someone who refuses to be interviewed, Megyn said, who insults every question, dismisses every perspective, and treats accountability like an attack. Harry's face flushed. Oh, I see, he hissed. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. No, Megyn said, calm but icy. I can take it. I've taken worse from tougher people than you. But I won't sit here while you sneer at every question like you're above being asked them. Harry stood abruptly. Megyn didn't flinch. This isn't Buckingham Palace, she said, and you're not a prince in this studio. You're a guest. And right now, you're a disrespectful one. The audience gasped. You can't talk to me like that, Harry shouted. I just did, Megyn said, lifting her chin. Harry sputtered, furious. This is ridiculous. I don't have to stay here. You don't, Megyn cut in. In fact, don't. We're done. The studio fell silent. Harry's mouth opened, then closed. His eyes glittered with disbelief and humiliation. You're kicking me out, he demanded. Yes, Megyn said simply. You can leave. The cameras captured every fraction of the moment. Harry's outrage. Megyn's composure, the audience frozen. Harry yanked off the mic pack, tossed it onto the chair, and stormed off stage. The exit door slammed, echoing through the studio. Megyn exhaled once, composed, and turned to the camera. Well, she said quietly, that concludes our conversation. A stunned ripple moved across the studio. I believe in tough questions, honest answers, and mutual respect. Today, only one of those was present. Thank you to those watching. We'll be back after the break. The screen faded, leaving America gasping at yet another royal meltdown on live TV. Harry had done it again, and this time, Megyn Kelly was the one who shut the door behind him.